All right, my friends, here is how you are going to ace every initial prospect meeting by avoiding these 5 mistakes that lead to the dreaded, hey, I'll think about it, versus the desired, heck yeah, I want to become a client of yours. Now, these 5 mistakes are especially important to avoid because most advisors do not have a steady stream of people asking for initial meetings, right? If you have 5 meetings a day, you're welcome to screw up those, as many of them as you want, because you have so much volume. Most advisors are only getting a couple of new prospects a month, maybe a week. And so every single one of these needs to be treated like gold. And so let's go through these 5 mistakes. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Matthew Jarvis. I built a $2 million a year practice, working just 6 months a year. And now I make videos like this to teach other advisors how to match or exceed my success. And most importantly, avoid a lot of the really painful mistakes I made along the way, including these 5 mistakes that I used to make in every prospect meeting. And so let's run through them. Mistake number 1 is that you are not prepared enough. Now, what does not prepared enough look like? Well, for most advisors, it looks like the prospect is in the waiting room, either your physical waiting room or your Zoom waiting room, and you're quickly scrambling to try to figure out what it is you're going to talk about or how you're going to convince them to become a client. That is not prepared. At a minimum, my friends, the 15 minutes before the prospect meeting, you have turned off all alerts, you've essentially turned off your computer, you have your notepad, and you are visualizing through the entire meeting. Now, this might seem silly, except that all top professionals do this. All top athletes do this. They take time to visualize the entire thing. So what does this mean? It means I'm visualizing in my mind and I'm speaking out loud, even though it makes me feel like an idiot to be speaking out loud by myself with my office door closed. I'm walking through, how am I going to greet them? What questions am I going to ask them? What am I going to ask for the close? What objections am I worried about hearing? And how am I going to respond to those? What do I think they're going to say? And then I visualize them saying, oh, Matthew, we totally want to take the next step. Now, this is what I do to this day. I still take time before every prospect meeting and I visualize how I want that meeting to go. Now, preparedness can go further than that, especially if you're not getting the close. Preparedness can go further than that. I can Google everything I can find out about this person. I can see what their background is. I can try to preempt or imagine what some of their concerns might be. Like I might figure out where they're working because I found it on LinkedIn and make sure I understand their K plan or any concerns. So I want to do as much research as I can. So 15 minutes would be the minimum, probably an hour on the high side. Past that, you're probably just playing office. You're not actually making any progress. Mistake number 2 is that your initial prospect meetings are a bit like a haunted house. They're full of surprises and everyone is scared, or at least trying to be scared, depending on how you like haunted houses. What do I mean by that? I mean that the prospect is coming in and they're sitting down with you, again, in person or virtual, doesn't really matter, and they're not sure what's going to happen next. But their fear is that some hard sales pitch is going to jump out from behind the curtain and they're going to get tricked into buying something they didn't want. Right. An extreme example of this would be timeshare presentations or stereotypically used car salesmen, whatever the case may be. And so they come in not knowing what's going to happen. Now, most advisors don't know what's going to happen either. So the client's concern or the prospect's concern is well-founded, but both of you should be absolutely clear about how this meeting's going to go. So how do we do that? Well, it means that when we scheduled this meeting, we told the prospect exactly what's going to happen in this meeting. I like to do that as part of an initial phone call and in the confirmation emails that they get. So they know ahead of time exactly how this meeting's going to go. When we sit down, after I make initial pleasantries, I go straight into Mr. and Mrs. Prospect. We explained in advance that this is how the meeting's going to go, but I just want to go through this one more time. And I walk through how the meeting's going to go. And right out of the gates, I say, and here's going to be the big close. Like the big sales pitch at the end of this meeting is that I'm going to ask if you want to do X. Now, in my prospect process, X is to have me create a financial plan for them, a one-page financial plan at no cost. We've talked about that in other videos. Yours might be something different. You might want them to pay for a plan. You might want them to sign up as a client. Whatever it is, you need to let them know in advance what that ask is going to be. Otherwise, they're going to be afraid that behind every question you're asking is some kind of trap to get them to become a client. So just lead with it. And if your ask is nothing, let them know. Like, hey, listen, I just do this for free. I don't want to make any money. You can just take my advice and leave. Like whatever it is, let them know in advance. Don't let this be a haunted house of bad surprises. Number 3 reason why you're blowing your initial meeting, or the number 3 mistake, is that you're asking for too much. So if someone has just met you and you're asking them to trust you with their life's savings and their entire financial future in one meeting, that's a big ask. I'm not saying it can't be done. My good friend and Perfect RA co-host Micah Schlansky, he can do one meeting closes all day long, but he's already established an immense amount of credibility and he's incredibly good at what he does. Most advisors need at least 2 meetings because again, you're making a very big ask. Like you're asking this person to marry you, but possibly worse, like you could possibly ruin all of their financial future. And so in my first meeting, all I'm asking for is a second meeting. Like at the end of the day, that's my big ask is that we can meet again. So everything we're talking about, every question I ask, everything I say is about getting that second meeting, which between the first and second, I'm gonna do a one-page financial plan. I'm not asking them to become a client. I'm not asking them to roll over their money. I'm asking them for a second meeting because I want to establish more credibility. So here's mistake number 4 is that you don't believe in what you're offering. You don't think it's a good deal. Like somewhere, excuse me, somewhere in your mind, you think this is a bad deal, or maybe it's not a good deal, or maybe there's a better deal somewhere else. When I make my offer to a prospect, I have to believe in my heart of hearts that this is the best possible thing that they can do. Now, does that mean that I'm arrogant enough to believe that there's no other financial advisor in the entire world who does a better job than me? No, I don't believe that for a second. I believe there's a lot of advisors who are better than me. I'm looking for them. I want to learn from them. What I do believe is that for that person in this situation, in this geography, in my niche, I am the best person that they can hire. Now, if you're young and you're saying, hey, listen, I don't know if that's true, then build a team around you that you can say, hey, my team is the best that there is. The people I have access to is the best that there is. In fact, a lot of people who join my coaching program, they do it just so they can have me in their Rolodex, right? So they can say, hey, I may not be the best advisors, but I'm trained by some of the best advisors there is, and there are. And if you have a question I can't answer, great news, I have a team that can get us that answer. So I have to believe that my offer is incredible. This is why I do the one-page financial plan. When I ask someone to do, if they want to do a one-page financial plan, I know it's the best thing they could possibly do because they're not paying for it. I'm going to give them great advice. They can use that one-page financial plan to evaluate any other financial planner they're considering, and I'm going to spell out for them very clearly what it is we're going to do if they hire me. This is a no-brainer. And so when I present it, it's incredible. It's like I'm handing them a check for $1 million. Like I have no reservations on that. I know that it's a great deal. You need to have equal conviction on whatever it is you're offering. Okay, and mistake number 5, and every time I watch game tapes of advisors presenting, which by the way, if you're not watching your game tapes, you need to watch them, the advisor is talking too much. The advisor is talking too much, especially in prospect meetings. And the best way to test this, and I know you think, oh, I don't talk that much. Have an AI note taker attend your meeting. I use Jump AI personally. Have them attend your meeting. At the end of the meeting, you can look at the analysis and it will say how much time you spent talking and how much time they spent talking. And if you spent more than 50% of the time talking, you did it wrong, especially in those initial meetings, but really in any meeting. You're never going to talk someone into making a decision. That's not how it works. People can only talk themselves into decisions. Now, are there people that can pressure other people or manipulate them into decisions? Sure, I guess that's not what we're doing here. What I want them to do is talk themselves into that. And the way I do that is by asking them questions and listening to their answers. I'm gonna give you an example. I'll give you one script that I love to use for this, which is tell me your strategy for X. So tell me your strategy for claiming Social Security, or tell me your strategy for rebalancing your account, or tell me your strategy for not getting killed on taxes, right? So I'm opening the door. I'm asking them really good questions, but notice I'm also seeding in here strategy, right? I don't really have a strategy for Social Security. I was just going to turn it on at 62. Okay, great news. When we do your one-page financial plan, we'll do a strategy, or we'll talk about the strategy for claiming Social Security, right? So I've used that probing question to not just ask about their Social Security, but ask about their strategy for Social Security, implying that there is a strategy, right? This whole world opens up here when I can ask very intentional questions and I can listen. So those are the 5 mistakes that you need to avoid. If you enjoyed this movie, you made it this far, this video, please like and subscribe and send this to another advisor. Please also check out my book, Delivering Massive Value, where we have entire chapters on the prospect process. And until the next video, happy planning.